I have made up my mind to fight for the workers of this country. No longer are the workers afraid of bayonets. They are prepared to fight for their rights. That is a quote from Alexander Bustamante. These words were uttered into history in 1939 by the first Prime Minister of Jamaica, Alexander Bustamante. The statement reiterates the fact that there is one thing that has broken the boundaries of time, traveling through centuries into our present. This, of course, is the petition, the plea, and the passion for justice. Today we share some literature of the past, in addition to some video exposés of the present that shed light on the work being done to balance the scales of justice, as well as its resulting effect, peace. I'm Theodore Henry, and I'll be with you for what I can safely say will be yet another edifying half hour.
We are in a race against time, to reverse the effects of climate change by one simple action, which has positive and enduring effects. That's right, plant a tree, leave a lasting legacy. Join the My Tree Legacy promotion by planting a tree at your alma mater and share your work with us. Submit videos and pictures of you, your family, your friends, and colleagues planting trees. Every tree counts. Plant a tree today and keep climate change away. Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, April 19. Jamaica and the Republic of Rwanda have signed two bilateral Memoranda of Understanding MOU aimed at formalizing joint activities and laying the groundwork for deeper engagement. The agreements were signed on political consultations and tourism during a meeting at the Office of the Prime Minister on Friday. The political consultations MOU creates a formal structure for bilateral discussions and explores the potential for future collaboration. The Tourism Development and Promotion Agreement will enable both countries to share best practices and experiences in all facets of the sector, to include rural and ecotourism. The Tourism MOU complements the Air Services Agreement signed in 2018 between Jamaica and Rwanda. Friday's discussions capped a 3-day state visit by Rwandan President Paul Kagame. At a joint press conference, Prime Minister Andrew Holness revealed that the two countries were exploring avenues to expand economic and technical cooperation. Among the areas are agriculture, logistics, energy, health, culture, youth engagement, and special economic zones.
We must now strive to yield concrete benefits from these collaborations between Jamaica and Rwanda.
We should also work together on the global stage to advocate for policies of particular relevance to our people, and climate change mitigation is a notable example.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the Jamaica 60 celebrations are to be used as a platform to highlight the many positive achievements of the country and its people. He was addressing the official launch, which was held on the lawns of Jamaica House last week.
We must use Jamaica 60 as a platform to highlight the many positive achievements of our people. Not only our great music ambassadors and our world-beating athletes, but the many outstanding achievements of our educators, our scientists, our entrepreneurs in business and industry, our innovators, our thinkers, our activists, our advocates, our jurists, our artists, and so many others. Let us all use Jamaica 60 as the clarion call to come together as one people.
There will be an extensive program of activities during the Diamond Jubilee year, which started on January 1 and will culminate on December 31 under the theme Reigniting a Nation for Greatness. The launch took place on the same day the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, arrived in the island for his 3-day state visit. In an address delivered by his finance minister, President Kagame congratulated Jamaica on its achievements and expressed Rwanda's commitment to strengthening its bilateral partnership. New matrons' quarters are to be constructed at the Hanover Infirmary in Lucy. Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Desmond McKenzie made the disclosure while on a tour of the institution recently. He says the previous facility was destroyed years ago and the new quarters will provide a more comfortable working environment for the matron and other support staff. The minister adds that the infirmary's new kitchen is almost complete and a therapeutic park will also be built to meet the physical, psychological and social needs of the institution's 38 residents.
Once you would have completed the construction of the matron quarters and put in the therapeutic park, we would have completed our development of the Hanover Infirmary. Again, I must say that this is one of the better run facilities.
Acting matron Keon Dyer has welcomed the upgrades to the infirmary.
I know it's going to be of benefit to the residents, and of course the staff will have a more comfortable space working in.
The Jamaica Dairy Development Board, JDDB, has donated a mobile milking machine to the Signipagan Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics STEM Academy to boost its capacity and quality of dairy production. The equipment, which was recently handed over, is the first such device to be given to an institution on the island. It's expected to help in reducing the risks associated with milking cows by hand. Agriculture State Minister Franklin Witter says the machine will allow quicker extraction of milk, increase the capacity for milking more cows, and improve the safety and quality of the milk extracted.
This initiative by the Dairy Development Board to assist with the provision of a mobile milking machine is part of a greater thrust to make an impactful contribution to youth in agriculture, specifically through the targeting of agricultural institutions like the Signipagan Agricultural Institution.
And finally, agriculture stakeholders will be provided with networking opportunities through the Agribusiness Virtual Forum planned for this Thursday, April 21. The forum is being organized by the Agri-Investment Corporation and will be held at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. CEO of the Agri-Investment Corporation, Dr. Al Powell, says the event is also being held to position agriculture as a viable alternative to any other business.
To follow up with people's interests and get them to help realize their objectives in agriculture and to help them along the journey. And if we can do those four successfully with the information we have and with the technical people we have around us, we'll be on our way contributing greater to GDP.
The theme for the forum is Investment in Agriculture, Driving Food Security. Persons can register for the forum online at agroinvest.gov.jm. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
Antibiotics, take them right. Antibiotics, come make me tell you how to take them right. Only take them from professionals with medical credentials. Do not share them with friends or relations. Use prescriptions, follow instructions. Take them till them done with no interruptions. Bad bacteria we can't stop fight. Antibiotics, take them right.
Brought to you by the UWI Mona, Ministry of Health, National Health Fund, PAHO WHO.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. That's Martin Luther King Jr. The Legal Aid Clinic sides with this notion and has been actively working to ensure everyone, regardless of class, color, or creed, has full admission to the law and its services.
Yo. All right, yo, may I make a call?
Hello?
Yeah, Jen. Auntie, just get a call from the station here. Them lock up Johnny.
Lord have mercy. So what them have him there for?
Some gun business in a taxi and them something.
Out of trouble. Business not even going too right. Oh God.
No man, enough affordable money. No. You can go to a legal aid council, them have a list of lawyer where let them provide it free.
Alright, me love.
Yeah man, just go down there and talk to somebody.
We will meet you there in a little while.
Johnny's case is one of some 3,000 for which the Legal Aid Council makes duty counsel representation each year. The Duty Counsel Service provides for free legal representation from a lawyer at the police station for persons arrested, detained, or remanded. The assigned counsel will visit the person in need and provide help at the various stages: the lockup, identification parade, interrogation, and apply for station bail or bail by the court. Lockup visits and bail application are free of cost and require no application form. Everyone has the right to justice through the country's justice system, even if they cannot afford the cost for legal services. The Legal Aid Council has been ensuring this restricted access to justice, and lawyers assigned complete hundreds of some 1,500 court cases annually, benefiting hundreds of children and adults. Legal aid is the system that provides legal representation for Jamaicans who can ill afford to pay for this service whenever they come in conflict with the law, thus ensuring access to justice for all persons without financial barriers. The organization established to support these services is the Legal Aid Council. The Legal Aid Council, a statutory body within the Ministry of Justice, governs the legal aid system. For court representation, the Legal Aid Council or the court office completes an application form on behalf of the client and assigns a lawyer to represent the client until the end of the matter. All attorneys assigned court matters are private attorneys required to vigorously defend the right of the client, take full instructions from the client, advise the client, and ensure the best outcome on behalf of the client. Cases involving murder matters only require assigned attorneys to have 10 years' experience or more. Where a defendant requires DNA, handwriting, or other specialized expertise to advance their case, the Legal Aid Council will undertake the cost for a client unable to afford these professional services. While the Legal Aid Council provides full representation in court for clients with criminal matters, the Council only provides consultations on civil matters before determining whether the individual can afford legal representation. Thereafter, the Council provides an attorney to assist with a court matter. The duty counsel representation from the point of arrest to the first court appearance is free and it does not require the completion of an application form.
There are two main ways to access legal aid for criminal matters. One is the duty counsel stage. This is where a person has been taken into police custody and you're entitled to a lawyer. No application to fill out, no contribution fee to make from the moment you are taken into custody until your first court date. That is duty counsel. The officer has a duty to call duty counsel. Every station should have a list of the duty counsel available. If they don't, contact the legal aid counsel for an up-to-date list. If it's a family member that comes to the legal aid counsel or the clinics, if the person is in custody, not charged, no application form, no fees. The counselor or the clinic makes a call wherever the person is to an attorney who has his office near to that location and assigns the attorney. The attorney at the end of the matter sends in a claim to us. So the client makes no payment to the attorney.
Good morning. Thank you for calling the law firm of Stone and Brighton. How may I help you?
So the duty counsel is mandated to ensure that all the rights set out in the law for question and answer are observed for you as a citizen. All the rights and protection surrounding ID parades are maintained. Additionally, if the lawyer observes a child, any person under 18 being held at an adult lockup, that lawyer must make an application for the child to be removed to a juvenile facility. So that's the duty counsel stage. For the court aspects, if the judge observes that the person is without a lawyer, the judge will invite the clerk or assistant clerk to interview the person and grant legal aid. So the citizen is protected at every stage. At the duty counsel stage, some people would have been released after the ID parade, released after the question and answer. But for those who have been charged, you're entitled now to a lawyer to represent you during the trial. For that, there's an application form that the court would fill out, or the legal aid counsel or a clinic would fill out. And you may be asked to make a contribution. But the person who is not able to make any contribution will be granted help. If the means test shows that at the time you're not able to pay anything, then it would be zero contribution. So it is designed in a way that it helps rather than it obstructs. The client will basically be stating whether they have any income and any expenditure, the bills they have to pay, number of children that they have to support, etc.
The Legal Aid Counsel pays the private lawyer for his or her services to the legal aid client at the completion of the matter. If the client can contribute towards the process, they make payments at any branch of Scotiabank and not to the lawyer.
That contribution, there's no deadline on it. If the person says at the next month end, we are flexible. What we find now is that more Jamaicans are now able to approach the court, and whether funds are there or not, whether unemployed or not, they now can approach the court being represented by counsel. So a lawyer is there to put forward your defense, to speak on your behalf. And we have helped persons who were convicted. And in fact, in one instance, we provided a DNA report at the appeal level, and we were successful.
The council continues in its bid to reach more persons in need across the country using a Justice Mobile unit acquired through the Citizen Security and Justice Program and its international partners. The unit has been taking the service to some 50 communities, particularly in rural Jamaica and the inner city yearly.
The travel file application was created by the Transport Authority for the protection of the commuting public. Please download the travel file application on the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. Once you download the application, put in your phone number, register the application under your phone number, and then you'll be able to verify the license plate that you're going in. Once you verify the license plate and the information of the vehicle, you will then be able to share that trip of the vehicle that you're in. And if there is difficulty on the trip, you would then will be able to push a panic button and share your location with others as well. Download the application, give us our feedback at customerservice@ta.org.jm. Don't forget, it's free to download, free to use.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a warm Jamaican welcome. In Rwanda, you say Muriweho, and in Jamaica, we say Wagwan. We are delighted to convene this very important government-to-government discussion entitled Think Jamaica 2022. I am Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade of Jamaica, and I am honored to be facilitating the discussion between our two brilliant leaders, Prime Minister Holness and President Kagame. President Kagame is a powerhouse of a president. He has presided over the strong socioeconomic development and advancement of Rwanda. Among his many roles, he has sat as chair of the African Union, the East African Community, and will shortly take the chair of the Commonwealth later this year. Considered one of the pearls of Africa, Rwanda is one of the continent's fastest growing economies. Under the clear and visionary leadership of President Kagame, this land of 1,000 hills has secured many milestones of environmental protection, innovation, and development. And we celebrate another particular milestone, Rwanda's achievement of the highest level of female parliamentary representation in the world. Mr. President, welcome. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is the first Jamaican Prime Minister to be born after independence, and indeed the youngest. He has had several achievements as Prime Minister, notably leading the resurgence of the Jamaican economy ahead of the COVID-19 pandemic and the fastest recovery in the region since. He's launched the most extensive infrastructure projects in Jamaica's history, highest investment in national security, and achieved the lowest unemployment rate ever. He has a passion for the environment, having sat as co-chair of the UN Secretary General's Climate Financing Initiative and having implemented the most extensive environmental protection measures ever in Jamaica, including declaration of the boundaries of Jamaica's cockpit country as a protected area. Mr. Prime Minister, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, this visit is of special significance as it takes place during Jamaica's Diamond Jubilee, or 60th year of independence, and it represents an important opportunity for the deepening of bilateral relationships between Jamaica and Rwanda. It also reinforces the steadily burgeoning relationship between the Caribbean and the African continent, including between CARICOM and the AU. On the matter of the connection and future role of the relationship between the African continent and the Caribbean, you have spoken of this and its potential. What are some of the things, the actions we can take in order to enhance the deepening of this connection?
The Caribbean and Africa have a lot in common, beginning with the people. There is that deep connection that the geographical distance can't eliminate. So the first thing we have to do is create that environment and the possibility for people to travel, Caribbean, say to Rwanda and East Africa or other parts of Africa, and vice versa. So we have to deal with visa issues and make sure that we create waivers, and so that we really encourage this connection, knowing that we have interest in one another, we can benefit one another. There is a lot we can do, whether it is trade or different things, but we have to be very practical, start with the right first things first, which is first even to carry the message to people and say, why not connect as close as we can. So I think these are the practical things we have to do.
Absolutely, sir. Air services arrangements, visa connections, people-to-people exchanges, these are critical to deepening. Thank you, sir. Mr. Prime Minister, what would you say are perhaps the most important developmental lessons that Jamaica and even perhaps Rwanda have learned over the past 10 years as you've been doing some research? And how can these be applied to other countries to increase growth and equity?
A very important question. I think, Mr. President, again, thank you for visiting our country in our 60th year, and I'm sure you would have felt the warmth of the Jamaican people. Rwanda is a perfect example of a country that has overcome challenges and struggles, and they have done so remaining united. And I think that if you were to say what would be the lessons, it would be, first of all, resolving conflict. So a process of reconciliation. In every society, there will be divisions. There will be conflicts. There will be difficult issues. But the process of bringing everyone together in the society to resolve conflict and get the society singularly focused on development, I think that is a lesson for all countries. The other lesson is to be pragmatic. And I think if you were to describe President Kagame, you would say that he is pragmatic, he is instrumental, and he is deliberate in thought and action. And so leadership would be a very important part of any development of especially small countries. Leadership is so critical. But flowing from that leadership that is pragmatic is also an ethos of performance-based. And I think that is something that the Caribbean, the region, Jamaica, needs to adopt.
Thank you, Prime Minister. So conflict resolution, focused leadership, measurable outcomes, and performance-based management are sort of touch points for ensuring that a vision can be implemented. Thank you both very much.
We are moving on. We intend to fulfill our true ambitions and destiny as an independent, developed, prosperous country. And that is from Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Included in this quest is an appetite for a just and peaceful Jamaica, one that will be made attainable through a joint effort between the government and us, the citizens. The onus is on us to make Jamaica the place of choice. This is where I leave you for today. The team here at the JIS is always appreciative of your viewership as well as your engagement on our social media platforms, YouTube channel and website. Follow, like, subscribe, and visit at your convenience. Until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.